Let's get into this discussion now. A substation near the troubled Eikenhof pump station has again been struck by lightning. It follows a similar incident earlier in the month, which left large parts of Johannesburg without water for nearly 2 weeks. Let's speak now to City Power Group Executive for Service Delivery and Maintenance, Charles Tlouane. Mr. Tlouane, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Coley. Thanks for having us, and good evening to you and to the viewers.
Thank you for coming in. Let's discuss why it is that, is it the Eikenhof pump station or is it a pump station near Eikenhof that has this time around been struck by lightning?
Let's just give context. So, Eikenhof substation, it's housed right next to rainwater pump station. But the Eikenhof substation, it gets power from Orlando via Fortsbeck substation.
Yeah.
So meaning the main intake, it's Fortsbeck, goes through Orlando, then it comes through to Eikenhof substation, which then feeds rainwater, which is near it at the pump station.
And so, is it safe to assume, therefore, that indeed it is the Eikenhof power station that has been struck by lightning for a second time?
It is not Eikenhof, the pump station. It's actually the lightning struck at El Dorado, which is the middle substation. When it feeds from Fortsbeck, it goes into Orlando, El Dorado, from El Dorado into Eikenhof. So that El Dorado, it struck there, but then because there was a line that failed, or should I say, it delayed to operate. There was a fault at Orlando. Then it delayed to operate. So when it delayed to operate, it then went back it delayed to operate at El Dorado. Then it went back to Orlando. And then from Orlando, it then went upstream, right at Fortsbeck. So the line that tripped, because it's the main feeder that feeds all those stations, we lost power at Fortsbeck, and subsequently, therefore, affected the Orlando, then it affected El Dorado, then it affected Eikenhof.
What does that mean, therefore, in terms of the flow of water to residents? So
what does that mean is that because Eikenhof is the substation that supplies rainwater. And due to this lightning that occurred, it then was unable to pump or to supply to the rainwater substation. Although it was not the one that was affected by lightning, it then could not distribute power to the rainwater pump station. As a result, those that were affected were from the main bulk intake of rainwater, it could not pump, and hence there was that kind of a situation. But the problem was not at Eikenhof, the problem started at El Dorado, then it went back, then it affected Eikenhof.
Very briefly, before we touch on other issues,
yes.
So is that situation still exactly that, with teams, I would assume, working hard to restore that, and how long will that outage be for?
Oh, no. It happened around past 8 last night, and then we're able to, it took I'll say at around 11, it was restored. Eikenhof in itself, meaning the rainwater, it was restored, and then everybody else was restored at just before midnight. So all was done just last night. Everything is okay as we speak.
So all communities are receiving water in Johannesburg as we speak?
I wouldn't speak of what I'll speak of electricity, because what we restored was electricity.
Okay.
But because you need water, you need electricity to pump water. So I think Joburg Water will be able to speak on that, or rainwater should be able to speak in that effect.
Why is it that these substations have become so vulnerable to lightning strikes? Is this something that has occurred so frequently before?
So let's just give context, Coley. So lightning occurs when there's rain or thunderstorms and heavy rains, and the climate water change. So it will occur. So this does not happen often. So you'll find some instances where when it happens, it's about how quick do we respond to that. However, I need to indicate that, our substations are having such arresters, lightning arresters. We are maintaining them. The earthing is grounded. And we are able to withstand some of these harsh conditions. So unfortunately, in certain instances, this lightning is so hectic in such a way that even when it happens, the system in itself, naturally, it can't withstand. It's like when you have a hailstorm, a heavy one, you are likely to lose power, across where the hailstorm is moving. And it happens time and again, but it's not all the time that it happens. And it's about how quick do we respond to that kind of a situation. So when that happens, we respond in that manner as it happened yesterday or last night.
I ask you that question because the mayor of Johannesburg today is quoted in the media as suggesting that more investment in infrastructure is needed in order to make sure that such outages are avoided or if not minimized. What kind of investment are we looking at?
Okay.
What's the plan?
So network backlog infrastructure of City Power, it's about 46 billion rand. We on the OPEX budget, we're operating about 1 billion rand. And then on the CAPEX, it's about 1.2 billion rand. So if you do the math, you can easily tell from that with a 1 billion rand budget or 1.2 billion rand budget of infrastructure, to deal with your backlog, it's quite a small amount. But it's about how effective and efficient we do this kind of program. So if we look at our intake or our substations, we've got breakers that are still robust, intact, working, but they are old. And when this knock effect happens time and again, it then tells you that at some point you will need to make changes, even though you can maintain. But a car, when you run it, even though you do maintenance, but at some point you need to give it out or give it away because it then tells you that my time has lapsed. So it's the kind of philosophy that works the same with the car. So you may have it and then run it, and you can't run it forever. At some point you need to change it, but it's about how do you change it in that effect as it comes along, as it gives up along the way.
Final question.
Yes.
You're saying that there's a 46 billion rand backlog.
Correct.
Today, there are reports suggesting that the city's proposed budget for the 2024-2025 financial year, that is now going to substantially increase to 83 billion rand, and all of this is going to be collected from services that residents are charged for services that they're going to argue they partially get. It's intermittent service. Is that fair? So
the budget that I'm talking about is for the entire city of Johannesburg. And you will appreciate that the City Power is one of the entities that is owned by the city of Johannesburg. So as this budget will be diced across these entities, it's money that will go not in all entirety of 86, particularly for the City Power point of view, but you'll have a particular budget that you need to use from City Power perspective to deal with the challenges that we are facing every day. So it is important that we should just bear in mind that every service that we render to our communities, we render it from that allocated budget that we have. And it is only fair that whatever that we get, we give it back to the communities in terms of service and the way we respond and how we react to it. So City Power will do its own chunk and do its own best to make sure that it delivers the service that is required to the citizens of Johannesburg.
Charles Tlouane, let me thank you very much for your time.